Skip it up and that up. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is Rich of Review Tech USA. I am not dead. Even with the flood I had in my basement and everything, I found a nice little place to work in the meantime. Yes, I am still moving. I had an update video, which I'll have linked below in the description for people who didn't know what was going on with me. Go check out that video. You could find out how I've had a very colorful past, let's say about 2 weeks, probably a little less than that, but I haven't uploaded for a very valid reason. Let's just put it that way. But anyway, I'm here. I have some nice Crash Bandicoot gameplay, the Insane Trilogy for the PS4. It's looking nice and crispy. And I have a very interesting topic to discuss today. I actually like doing response videos to other YouTubers, not just to call people out, which I know I've done recently, but in general too, even if I'm agreeing with what they're saying, if someone brings up an interesting topic, I think it's a great way to bring the community together. And response videos are awesome because maybe it'll shine a light on a smaller channel that, like this one, for example, that I'm about to bring up, that I feel deserves more subscribers, and I think they do excellent work. And that person is Sean over at YouTube channel RGT85. He does awesome retro gaming videos. He does reviews on different products. It's a really awesome channel. He has about 40K subs. I think he should have a lot more because of the hard work he puts into his channel. So if you want to go check him out, I'll have a link to Sean's channel below in the description. I highly suggest you do. If you like my content, you will definitely like his. Well, anyway, Sean had an interesting video on his channel, and it started with him getting, I guess, into a heated debate on his Facebook page with somebody. And what they got into a heated debate about is, are YouTubers ruining retro gaming and retro game collecting? And he brought up some interesting points, and he talked about the argument that he had. And I wanted to discuss it too, because I've heard this argument before. And I hate when people bring up the fact that they think that YouTubers are ruining the retro gaming community. I think it's really a very short-sighted and ignorant thing to say, and I'm glad that Sean addressed it. And I think that more people, not just me and Sean, should actually talk about it too, because the arguments that this guy was making were, in my opinion, kind of silly, and they didn't really make any sense. Now, the first thing I have to talk about is free markets. Okay, and I'm all for capitalism. I'm all for, if something is demanded, that makes the price increase. A lot of people have come at me in the past before when I go against scalpers and saying, "Oh, Rich, that's the free market too." It is, but that's the bullshit side of the free market. That is a bunch of shady people going out looking to make a profit, making a product scarce because they're all buying it up like unnaturally. They're buying 20 of a console or 30 copies of a game when they only need one, or if you really, sometimes I buy 2 of things. And because they're doing that, they're artificially making something high in demand or scarce, and then because they're doing that, that jacks up the price. That's not capitalism. That's not the way things are supposed to work. I know people will argue and say, "Oh, Rich, actually it is capitalism. You don't know what the hell you're talking about." Fine, but it's shady, and it's a really crappy practice. Now, why am I even bringing that up? And Sean spoke about this in his video. It almost seems that a lot of people who are angry at what YouTube has done to the retro gaming scene, how it has jacked up prices, they almost compare, in a way, YouTubers to scalpers, because whenever some even moderately sized YouTuber where they have, 50,000 subs, 40,000 subs, discusses a game, they feel, I'm not saying that it does, but they feel that game gets jacked up in price. For example, Sean said that this gentleman spoke of AVGN and Pat the NES Punk. When they speak about a game, whether AVGN reviews a game or Pat on the Completely Unnecessary podcast talks about a game, or if Pat actually, he doesn't do it as much, like Sean said too. If Pat makes a Pat the NES Punk episode, that makes the game prices jack up because people, they review a game, people see the game, they realize it exists, and they're like, "Oh, hey, I want to try that out." And because there's demand, that brings the price up. But to the person who used that as an argument, that's how things go in general. When there's a commercial on television, that commercial is advertising the product. Not that AVGN or Pat the NES Punk, when they review something, I mean, I know they have sponsored videos, so do I, But I'm not saying that they're advertising the game. They're not. But, you know, because they're giving it exposure, yeah, it's going to make people interested. That's natural. That's human nature. That's curiosity. And that's naturally going to make the game be more in demand. And because it's more in demand, it's naturally going to go up in price because it's more demanded. That's how it works. What is wrong with that? On top of it, too, due to YouTubers like JonTron, oh my God, I brought up JonTron, how dare I? I don't care. Or AVGN and various other YouTubers, Pat the NES Punk, so on and so forth. Do you realize because of them that retro gaming has remained relevant? Do you think that kids that are like in their teens and even early 20s, God, I'm referring to someone in their early 20s as a kid, that's depressing, but whatever. Do you think they would even, if there wasn't this retro gaming scene or gaming scene on YouTube, do you think they'd even look twice at these old games? No. But not only do they know about these old games, they're actually interested in them because of what's going on in the gaming community. So I'm sorry to the person who wants to, you know, these games to not have light shed on them so the prices of them stay down so he can have all his games to himself. But I'm happy. Okay, the games get a little more expensive, but the price deflates as well. You know, they don't always stay at that super high price. But I'd rather have people enthusiastic about these older games, especially the younger people enthusiastic about these older games, because I want to see those games to me are the foundation of what made gaming what it is today. And I like seeing younger generations appreciate them instead of those games just being irrelevant and no one caring about them. So yeah, okay, the price goes up. Boo-hoo, that sucks. But that means that there's still a demand for these retro games and people are still enjoying them of all ages, not just people in their late 20s, 30s, and 40s, but younger people too, because they watch AVGN and Pat the NES Punk and JonTron. They're making them grow in appreciation for these older games, whereas they may have just ignored them if it wasn't for the YouTube gaming community. Now, this guy also brought up the Game Chasers too, and how the Game Chasers on their YouTube channel, because they go to all the flea markets and all the different places, how, you know, they're showing people how to find the games, and that too on top of it is also hurting the community because now the games go up in price because people know to go there, and these flea markets and these vendors at these flea markets know to ask for higher prices because they know people are going to go there looking for the games. But again, their channel is entertainment, and it's making people aware that these games exist and they're the places to buy these games. What is wrong with that? Do you want your hobby just to be only yours? Yes, you do. That's exactly what it is. You want to hoard this hobby and have it be inclusive and have no one else in it. Look, man, you know, this is what happens when someone talks about something. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's just really frustrating that people are using this as an argument against the gaming community that, oh, if you talk about something that makes it popular, and if it makes it popular, then it makes the price go up. Yeah, that's how it works. No shit. But I'd rather have, you know, Billy and Jay on the Game Chasers talk about it and be enthusiastic about retro gaming and their pickups when they go out in search of different games. I'd rather have them do that and share how exciting it is and show how great these old games are than just, you know, keep the games to themselves, you know, in a closet somewhere and not show anybody because, you know, that'll keep the price down a couple bucks on some of the games. Like, it just, why? Then what the hell's the point? The community, a big part of what makes retro gaming or gaming in general exciting is the community. I mean, the community has plenty of issues, you know, it does. I think we can all agree with that. I'm not saying that I'm not guilty of causing problems myself, but that's part of what the excitement is you get to share what you found or discuss, you know, whether it be retro consoles or new consoles. So you just want everyone to stop doing that so you could save a little bit of money? No, that's not how it works. That's not natural. What's natural is to discuss it. And yes, if it makes people interested, it may make prices raise up, but that's healthy. That's what's supposed to happen. You can't artificially quell that because it pisses you off. Now, one point that Sean brought up that I totally forgot is that the community that's into the retro games, They're older now. They're adults in their 20s and 30s and 40s, and they have expendable cash. And as they got older, because they have the expendable cash, they went out and bought systems and games that either they owned in the past and wanted to own again, or they never got to own in the past and want to own now. For example, I want a PC Engine with the CD-ROM on it. I'll even take a Turbo Duo. I'm probably going to get one. Never had one in the past before, and I want to play Castlevania Rondo of Blood that was never officially released in the States. I know it was on like the WiiWare, and there's other, you can get it on for the PSP as well, but I want the original OG version. All right, that was over in Japan, so I'm gonna probably pick that up. And because people like me are now interested in getting the system and getting that game, guess what happens? We now have the expendable cash to do it. People are buying it. That makes the system more in demand. That makes that Castlevania game more in demand. And guess what? The prices are going to inflate. That's natural. That's what happens. If that angers you, I'm sorry, but you gotta deal with it. Look, I'll end this video by saying this. 99% of the gaming community, even outside of YouTube, is awesome. You just want to talk about games, you want to have fun, you want to share your interests, you want to meet other people that have similar interests to you, and you just want to enjoy your hobby, and that's great, and I love all of you. But there's this one very outspoken, super vocal 1% that gets on my nerves, that wants their hobby to be inclusive. They don't want to include other people. It's for them and them only. Well, I got some bad news for you. You don't own this goddamn hobby. I don't own this goddamn hobby. We all just enjoy it. It's for everybody. And the more people that get included into this hobby and the more that gaming spreads to the masses, the more accepted it becomes. And I want that. I want gaming to become universally accepted even more than it is now. It already is, but I think it could even use more work and could be even more accepted in general by society. So take your video games are for me only mindset, and to be quite honest with you, shove it. Video games are for everybody. They should be for everybody. And the more people that embrace them, the better it is for all of us. This is Rich of Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one.